everybody, I'm Latrina Patrick. Welcome to day 85 of our 90-day grant writing tutorial. Well, we have entered our final week of the grant writing tutorial, so I'm really excited to be able to bring this to an end and wrap up the tutorials because I know that it has been very helpful to me and I hope that it's also been helpful to you. Today I want to kick off with the logical grant writing process. When you are getting into the whole grant writing field or starting to pursue grants for your organization, there should be a logical process. And so today I want to talk to you about what that process should look like. It's 14 steps to this process that I use, and I'm going to share 7 today and the remaining 7 tomorrow. So let's get started. The first thing is preparation. That's simple, and we've talked about this before. Whenever you're getting ready to start getting into the grant writing process, you want to be prepared. And the best way to get prepared is to pull together a team, build and train your team, because this grant writing process works so much better when it's just not one person trying to do all the work. And we talked in previous tutorials about how to pull together a team and who should be on that team. So I won't get into the specifics of that, but I will just say to build and train your team. And then you want to identify potential grants. So each of you can have a discussion once everybody is trained and ready. You can discuss which type of opportunities that you should be applying for your organization. So you want to seek out some potential grants. So that's the first step in preparation. The second step, now that you've identified some potential grants, you want to look at the RFPs from those particular grants. So you want to study those funding announcements. Look at them thoroughly. I've said several times before, read over it at least 3 times so that you're clear about what the expectations are and the objectives of that particular grant program. And then you want the grant team to decide as a team whether or not you want to pursue this grant. So if everybody is in agreement, then you can start trying to move forward. And the last part of the RFP is that you want to develop a team plan with strategies and for all the grant logistics. So a lot of pieces need to come together when you're going through the grant writing process, and so your team wants to strategize about the best way to do that. So that could, include some discussion about where you need to get your letters from, developing a timeline to get all the activities done. Whatever the logistics may entail, you want to have that discussion right away. So the third thing is you want to do your needs assessment, and this will help you with your problem statement when you're starting to write. So in your needs assessment, what you're doing is you're identifying the problem, you're doing your research, you're documenting that problem and the need for what you're going to do with statistics, interviews, surveys, and studies. So don't get thrown by the term needs assessment. It doesn't have to be really complicated. And again, I've talked about that in a previous tutorial, so feel free to go back to those first 2 weeks to look at what you need to be doing when it comes to creating a problem statement and getting your needs assessment done. So that's the third step. The fourth thing is program strategies. You want to develop your program strategies, and they are going to be in response to what you've identified as your problem. So your program strategy should be a solution to that problem that you've identified. So it's also going to be called a program approach or program activities, because now you're getting into the actual components of that grant. And then you want to outline the specific components and activities of your program. So that's what your program strategies are going to help you to be able to do. The fifth thing is, now you've done all that, you want to write your program narrative. And this should be developed in a detailed and chronological order. So this makes it very easy. You want to go from start to finish of what that program looks like in its implementation phase. And then you want this to be based on the problem statement, the RFP, the need statement, and the literature that you've gathered. So everything that you're doing needs to be in response to what you've already identified as your problem that you're going to address. And you've already identified the activities that you're going to do to address that particular problem. So the fifth step is the program narrative. The sixth thing is, now you want to write your goals and objectives. A lot of people want to write that first before you do your program activities and your program narrative, but go ahead and write your narrative and then get into your goals and objectives, which should be measurable objectives, and they should be developed based on the program narrative and the problem. So make sure they're very specific, because that leads into your 7th step, which is the evaluation criteria. And your evaluation criteria is really based on the corresponding objectives. So we talked about early on about writing your objectives and making sure they're smart objectives, meaning they're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And they need to be all those things because it makes it easier to do your evaluation. So that's why your goals and objectives are they correspond to, your evaluation corresponds to your goals and objectives. So they're all tied together. So as I've laid those out, those first 7 steps, you can see how it is logical in this grant writing process. So again, just to recap, the first step is preparation. The second step is the RFP. The third step is your needs assessment / problem statement. The fourth step is your program strategies. The fifth step is your program narrative. The sixth step is your objectives and your goals and objectives. And the seventh step is your evaluation criteria. So those are the first 7 steps. Tomorrow we'll pick up and go into the final 7 steps of the logical grant writing process. If you have any questions or comments about anything I've covered today, make sure you leave those for me here on my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and you will get immediate notification whenever I upload a new video. I also want you to know that you can subscribe to my email, get my newsletter, and up until this week, you can get the weekly agendas from the tutorials, but you can also subscribe to my newsletter and keep up to date on workshops that I offer or anything else that's going on with Greater Vision Consulting. If you want to do that, go over to my website at www.greatervisionconsulting.com. While you're on the site, check out my bio, check out my experience, and most of all, check out the services that I offer because I love the opportunity to work with you and your organization. So that's it for today. I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow for part 2 of our logical grant writing process. Talk to you soon. Bye.